Hi guys, we're back in the workshop and today I'm going to go through how to make up a new chainsaw chain. This is probably geared more towards the heavier chainsaw user rather than the beginner, but hopefully it'll be informative nonetheless, and that you'll be able to see that you can replace a damaged section of chain rather than bin it entirely. Now I have a close-up here of a chain, and also I've separated all the component sections of the chain out just so that we can go through them. The first thing that's visible anyway is the cutting teeth on the sort of the assembled chain. That's a right hand cutter and that's a left hand cutter, and then the bit in the middle is called a connection link, or a preset tie strap or a tie strap. So you'll come across sort of interchangeable words there. Now obviously the cutters come in left and right. Now, just to be aware, there's different profiles of teeth that you can get. You can get full chisel, semi-chisel, micro chisel. This one is a micro chisel chain, and what that does is it cuts a very narrow kerf, which is the width of the cut down through a piece of wood. It just takes less power, and it should be quicker then. Now, the other teeth types, both the semi-chisel and the full chisel, they provide different cutting profiles. There are also different chain construction configurations, which are called standard, semi-skip and full skip. This one here is a semi-skip, which means there's a tooth, a connection link or a tie strap, another tooth, tie strap, etc, etc, etc. If this was a full skip chain, what we'd have is two tie straps between each individual tooth, and what you get then is a much more aggressive and a faster cut. We won't delve too much into the configuration of either the chain makeup or the tooth cutter profile, but at least you'll be aware that there are options there as regards chain cutting performance. Now, if we go down here onto our broken out chain section, you can see there's a left hand cutter. Sorry, that's a right hand cutter. That goes through the drive link here, and it goes through the next drive link here. And then there's this little strap that goes on the far side of that. And what that does then is it joins them together. Now you'll notice here that there's these are the drive links, and our chain is cutting this way. Okay, so the sprocket on the saw is pushing against, try and straighten him up, is pushing against this section of the drive link here. And you'll notice that there's two different types of drive link. There's ones without a hole and ones with a hole. And then the ones with the hole, you'll see this raised little bit at the top of it here. And what that does is it provides protection against kickback as the chain goes around the top of the nose on the bar. Now, just to demonstrate how a chain operates, obviously when you close up the tie straps, they must be loose enough that it'll allow the chain to separate as it goes around the nose of the bar. Not separate, sorry, but rotate on these little joints. So you can't pinch them up too much. Now, I just want to demonstrate here, we'll say the action of that section on the drive link. We'll just take one here for example's sake. So, okay, if we look at our chain in there, that's the orientation of the drive link. So the sprocket is pushing on this side of it here, and as it goes around, this little raised section here, okay, is what reduces kickback, and it's a sort of an important safety feature on the chain. And you'll see it here as it goes around that there's no nothing protruding at this point. But if we rotate the chain around, okay, you'll see that that piece on top of the drive link there separates out slightly, and what it does then is it effectively bounces off the wood and stops you biting into it too hard in this section of the bar here, which is the sort of the high risk kickback section, and that's an important safety feature on the chain. It's a less aggressive cut obviously, but it does reduce kickback significantly. So just going through our components here, we have a number of drive links. We have a right hand cutter, left hand cutter, and then a tie strap for in between the two. And the way they slot together is like this roughly. Tie strap then can go either way across the chain, so we'll stick him in here. bit like a jigsaw. The other cutter then, bit fiddly obviously, goes in like this. Next tie strap, sorry, next drive link. And then these tie straps here, you'll see there on this fresh one or unused one that there's, I'll stick it down flat, that there's two little studs sticking out of it. And basically what happens then is that the tie strap goes over that, and then what we do then is we use what's called a rivet spinner to round off the ends of those and close up that link. And the same principle applies to the cutter teeth as well. They'll come with their own, these are a bit chewed up now from breaking them out of the chain, but they come with their own sort of studs similar enough to the new tie strap there. So that just gives you an indication of what chain is made of and the various components of it. What we'll do now is I'll organise a roll of chain, a rivet breaker, a rivet spinner, and we'll demonstrate how they work and how you both break a chain or a section of chain off a roll and then reassemble that into the piece that you want. Now, when it comes to making up a chain, we need a number of things. Number one, we need a roll of chain. Number two, we need a way of breaking the chain. This here is a rivet breaker. Number three, we need something to close up the rivets on the tie straps. This is a rivet spinner. We'll use a little bit of oil with that. Along with the roll of chain here in the box, we'll also get, I have them in the tin here now, but what these are is the little tie straps and the connecting bars on the far side of it. So you'll get a bag of those in the box with that. Now before we start, we must obviously match up our chain to what we want. So the bar on the saw, in this particular instance, is an Oregon bar. It's 15 inches, which is 38 centimeters. And the dimensions that we need to make up our chain are the number of drive links, that's how chain is measured, the pitch of the chain, which is 0.325 inches, and the pitch of the chain is measured by measuring 3 rivets and then dividing by 2. And then the last piece of information we need, or the last dimension we need then, is the actual width of the groove in the drive bar, which tallies up with the width of the drive link which sits in that guide bar, and in this instance it's 0.05 inch or 1.3 millimeters. So what we have here is a roll of chain, and we'll zoom in on that now. Ever so slowly. Right, and our chain here, as we can see, it's 0.325 pitch, and then 0.05 or 1.3 millimeter gauge. So, and obviously it comes in a 100-foot section, so we have to break off 64 drive links. So that's how chain is measured and quantified as regards matching it up with the saw. Now, you don't have to buy a specific brand of chain. Once it has those dimensions, 0.325 and 1.3 mil or 0.05 of a gauge, you can buy chain from any manufacturer, Husqvarna, Stihl, Oregon, Carlton, just to name a few of the bigger companies out there. What we need to do is count off 64 drive links, because that's the dimension that we want. Now, when we have 64 drive links counted, I'd recommend marking the 64th or the last one you want. And then after we do that, this is just Tipp-Ex or correction fluid or whatever it's called. And then counting a second time. It's a bit of a nuisance having, if you come up a link short and then you have to break one link out of a section or out of the roll of chain and try and join that. Now the recommendation as well is that you shouldn't really just connect one link. You should actually take out 3 at a time. So 2 drive links and a cutter, or 2 drive links and a tie strap. Because we say as you're breaking the rivets out, you'll have a tendency to to damage the drive links. They're not particularly heavy gauge material. So again, we've marked the 64th drive link there, what we think is the 64th drive link. So we'll just count again to make sure. Okay, 64 drive links the second time, so that bodes well for us. What we're going to try and do here, right, is the little punch here in the rivet breaker. The little tie strap rivet is here, and what we'll do is we'll bring it down and we'll center that on that as best we can, and then after we apply a bit of pressure, we exert a lot more pressure then on the handle, and you should see that pop out then. So we'll get the other one now. Just shuffle it over. Okay, right. So we have our chain separated now at the 64th drive link, or retaining the 64th drive link there. So our next operation is I'll set up the rivet spinner, and I'll show you how that operates so that we can join our chain. Now we have our rivet spinner set up on the bench here, just held in with a clamp, and I'll try to come in overhead so that we can see what's going on. Now effectively what this is just a sort of a hardened piece of steel here. It's a hexagonal shape. There's a little dent in the middle of it, or a dimple or a recess, and effectively what that does then is, as we turn the handle, that rotates around, and in conjunction with turning the handle, we'll also tighten in this tightening pin at the back. And effectively what that does then is it pushes the stud of the rivet into the recess of the little head here, and that effectively mushrooms it out or closes it up. So what we'll do now is we'll get our chain. Now we need a link. This is quite fiddly, so excuse me now if I drop bits all over the place. Now as regards the tie strap links, we can see there that the little groove there should be facing down. Okay, so match that up with the rest of the chain. Okay, the second one goes through the other drive link here, and then the tie strap. And we'll say sometimes you'll see a little mark on the tie strap. That mark should be to the outside of the chain. So we stick him on there. Okay. And what we do then is locate him in there, and we'll just do a slight pinch up to get him into the groove of that détented bit. Now, and we'll also give him a little drop of oil. What the oil does is it helps the hardened pin here from wearing out too quickly. It just slows that down. Right, so off we go now. We start winding. Okay, and as we wind, we rotate our handle. Okay. Now this can be done in incremental stages. You don't need to close up the rivet all in one go. And what I find useful is that as you progress through it, you can just close it up first so that the sections of the chain stay together, and then you can tighten it up then afterwards. Now bear in mind, this chain must be able to move on itself. Right, so we're semi-closed up, but our tie strap is still loose. So we go again. Again, tighten up or pinch up. Good. Start spinning. I might get a second clamp here just to hold this down properly. Now, so we spin. I get the other side another go. Now we'll just take this off and examine it, and as you can see there, that rivet is nicely closed. This one needs a little bit more work. It's sitting proud, so we'll give him another shot. Now again, you don't need to go to town on this. All you're looking to do is close up the rivets so that they're safe. Now, as you can see there, those rivets are looking good. There's no particular scientific methodology as regards how tight they should be closed up, but I did hear a rule of thumb idea whereby you should be able to feel the edge of the rivet with your nail, but you shouldn't be able to get your nail under it. So they feel nice to me now. They're both mobile and they both move. So we have our finished piece of chain closed up. Okay. Now, any questions? Stick them in the comments down below, and I'll see you next time.